Today we will talk about one contradiction when working towards our goals, because it will in the moment feel like we're actually moving away from the goal. Let me explain how this works. So if we want more money in the future, we want to be wealthy or have abundance, then in the moment I actually need to feel less abundant. I need to save money for the future. I need to not spend money. So it's this concept of delayed gratification, that I need to not spend the money in the moment, which actually makes me feel poorer in the moment, because then if I reinvest it or I put that money to work, then I will have more in the future. So can you see here the contradiction? If I want to feel wealthy, then that usually comes with spending money. Then people usually feel rich and that they have a lot. But if I want to have more in the future, I'm actually required to spend less, live below my means, and that will enable me to have more in the future. The same is true for happiness, for example. If we want to be more happy tomorrow, we actually need to do things today that makes us less happy. For example, if I go out to exercise, that requires some sort of painful activity. It requires energy and something that takes energy and that is uncomfortable, but afterwards that will make me feel great. If a person wants admiration and recognition from others, they initially need to do things that risk being rejected by others, by starting their own company. Maybe their friends and family think they're a bit weird for not going to college or not taking that job that the family think they should take. But instead they do something else, and they're risking, or they're actually facing rejection from their family and their friends while doing this. For example, the first YouTube videos I posted over 10 years ago, I was terrified the first weeks when I posted them, because I knew my friends would see them, and some of them actually made some negative comments about my videos. And it was not until later until they started taking off. The same is for having energy and having a vital body. In order to do this, and especially as we get older, we need to do things that are painful in the moment. So for example, I can say for myself, if I want to have a pain-free body, I need to do things that involve painful activities like exercise or stretching, to have a strong, flexible body. So when I do that, that is actually when my body feels the best. If I have had periods, for example, when I'm not exercising, if I have had a flu for 1 week or something, after that week when you have not done any exercise, that is usually when the body feels the worst, when you feel really stiff and maybe your back aches. So in order to have a vital, healthy body without pain, we need to do painful activities in the moment. And this becomes more and more true the older we get. So let's say we have adopted this idea that we need to do these things that are painful, maybe they're boring, they make us feel less abundant and make us feel poorer in the moment, but they're actually leading to great things in the future. If we're occupied doing things like this all day, it might not feel as great in the moment, and maybe it even feels like we're on the wrong track. Maybe it feels painful, stressful, and our body aches from doing exercise, or we're facing rejections for our new projects and things. It might not feel that great. And here we might think that we are actually doing something wrong when we are on the right track. And these are the things that bring the results we want in the future. So it's important that we stay on track and continue doing these things. So now we have identified how the productive life looks like. Doing a lot of uncomfortable things, maybe painful things, facing rejection from others. But we know that those are the activities that bring the results we want in the future. Now, what if we would examine the opposite of this? The comfortable life of not doing any of these activities at all, and see what they would bring. So I wrote down some examples here of, for example, eating fast food, ice cream and candy every day, using alcohol to relieve emotional pain or stress, using porn to reduce stress, or so many people are on OnlyFans, for example, buying content from there, or scrolling on social media to relieve stress, using drugs to numb pain, watching endless series on Netflix is another one, or the buy now, pay later tendency, so that we accumulate consumer debt, or living on benefits rather than working. So the common denominator of these activities are that they are comfortable in the moment, but they actually bring a worse result in the future. They bring horrible results in the future, but in the moment of doing them, they might feel good. And if we would do these activities that feel good in the moment, they would usually result in a dull, depressing life, obesity, drug addiction, and poverty. This can be summed up in the phrase, most men live lives of quiet desperation, or the mass of men live lives of quiet desperation, as Henry Thoreau wrote. And I really believe that comes from choosing activities of comfort rather than doing the uncomfortable things that bring the results in the future. It really ties into what I talked about the last week of these compounding curves here. Either we do the uncomfortable things now that lead to results in the future, or we do these things that are comfortable now but that leaves us with horrible results in the future. Because all of these small activities will be compounded over time, and they tend to accumulate and grow. But it's important to remember, and I make this video as a reminder for myself, that when we're doing these things that are uncomfortable in the moment, it maybe feel like we're doing something wrong because they are uncomfortable, but that is actually the right path. And also the example of the activities from a life of quiet desperation, all the comfortable activities, they can be great to look at just to see, so that we avoid them, so that we are not deceived and tricked into thinking like that this is the normal, because that will actually bring us horrible results in the future. And I really think this is important to talk about, because I think there are so many men who live lives that really are based on the quiet desperation, when no one is listening and when no one is hearing them. That's what they feel. Many men are really struggling to get a partner or to meet women, for example, and instead they go to porn, or they go to OnlyFans to have a sexual experience. But that is just like a mirage. That is just a trap of what real intimacy can look like. So in order to have happiness with another person in a relationship and to meet women, they really first need to go out and face rejection, and also they need to start working on themselves to develop a better product, to develop themselves, and to have goals and to become a more refined person, because that is the person who will attract another person, who will attract a woman for them. So can you see here how they need to go out and do really uncomfortable things in order to get this, rather than just staying at home scrolling on social media and watching videos on porn videos online. So if you're stuck in doing any of these negative activities that I talked about, like eating fast food or ice cream or candy every day, alcohol to relieve pain, porn to reduce stress, scrolling on social media, using drugs to numb pain, watching endless serials on Netflix, the buy now pay later attitude, or living on benefits rather than working, you really need to make sure to stop doing those things and to come out of that cocoon of comfort, starting to do positive actions that initially feel uncomfortable, but that gives a reward afterwards. That's the thing. You want to do something now that gives you a dopamine kick after, when you've accomplished that. So that is what you need to focus on to get out of that cocoon of the comfort. So if you're doing these things and are stuck in that cocoon of comfort, you really need to break out of that and start doing things that are uncomfortable today, but that leads to greater results in the future. The delayed gratification. Doing something now that is painful, feeling a dopamine kick afterwards when you have accomplished that. So that is a surefire way of breaking out of the negative compounding and going into the positive compounding in life. Because as one wise man, Jim Rohn, said, if you will change, everything will change for you. So if you start doing all these small activities that are uncomfortable now, that bring the result in the future, you will become a different person, and you will see your surroundings will change, what you have outside of you, who you spend time with, and the results in your life will change when you do this. And if these negative activities have become habits that you're you're doing without even thinking about them, then it's even more important that you break them, because as Warren Buffett said, the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken, meaning that the longer we do them, the more difficult it is to break these habits. And remember that we overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in a lifetime. So it will probably take some time to break these habits, but in a lifetime there's really no limits to what we can accomplish and who we can become. So start and continue and commit to doing the uncomfortable things today, so that you can reap the effects and the rewards that you want to see in the future. Thanks so much for watching. See you next week.